So in Ontario, where the truckers were doing their protests to get rid of the vaccine mandates and the vaccine passports because they never made any sense scientifically anyway. Well, guess what? They're getting rid of them now anyway. Watch this.
COVID-19 hospitalizations and test positivity rates continue to drop across the country. Many provinces.
And so why do they lead with that? Why would that? This is about getting rid of the COVID mandates and vaccine passports and why would you lead with that? That's to let you think that the science has changed. That's like, hey, things have changed, so we're changing the rules. That's what that is, and that's called propaganda. Okay, here we go.
COVID-19 hospitalizations and test positivity rates continue to drop across the country. Many provinces have started easing COVID-19 measures to...
Test positivity rates have dropped. I wonder why. Maybe because they stopped testing?
In fact, Ontario is dropping most of its pandemic rules. Proof of vaccination will no longer be required at most restaurants and gyms and movie theaters. Capacity limits for sports and concert venues dropped. So teams like the Senators, Maple Leafs, Raptors, they can play in front of full arenas again. And settings where capacity was limited based on social distancing, including, retail shops, grocery stores, that requirement is now lifted. I can tell you there are mixed feelings.
So not one mention of the truckers. Not one mention of the truckers. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
Not one mention. Hey, by the way, remember that thing that we just had in Ottawa? Yeah. Turns out we're gonna do everything they asked. Isn't that? And they don't mention it. And they give you those stats like, oh, hospitalizations are down and testing is also. And why do they do that? Because they're fucking propagandists. I'm not saying that isn't true. I'm saying they're giving that as a false reason.
Well, why would they get so mad about the trucker? They could have been like, hey, good news. We're doing it anyway, truckers. You can go home.
I don't know. Why wouldn't Trudeau even meet with them? You tell me, Kurt.
Well, I think they wanted to do it, and now it's not going to fly. And then that commercial you played the other day with the banker, it's like, okay, we'll try to get this across a way that's not COVID.
Yeah.
About the end of COVID-19 measures in Ontario. Some feel it's just too soon to drop restrictions.
Too soon. Some feel it's just too soon to drop the restrictions. And they're going to go talk to some of these people. You ready?
Just too soon to drop restrictions. CBC's Katie Nicholson is on the story live from Toronto. And Katie, you've been speaking with people worried about the changes. What are they saying?
Hey, lots of people are worried about it being too early to drop the vaccine passport. But specifically, I wanted to know.
What are they worried about? If you think the vaccine works, you should get vaccinated so it will protect you. Why do you need someone else to get vaccinated? Because we all know that everyone is going to get COVID likely.
Do you think people are really saying, I understand I've, a million times you've seen like the paranoid thing, but do you think the people that talk about really said, I'm concerned because I really wanted those vaccine digital passports? Do you think they're really saying that?
They think that someone else getting vaccinated is going to protect them. And I'm here to tell you that even Fauci tells you now, even Fauci is saying that no matter what, you're most likely going to get Omicron, which is COVID. So this idea that you have to get vaccinated to prevent you from spreading it to someone else is no longer valid. Even the CDC director admits that vaccines do not prevent transmission. And you're still going to get the virus, even if you're vaccinated. According to Fauci, you're likely to get it. And that means you're going to be likely to spread it. So this idea that somehow if you're vaccinated, you're protecting your community or other people, you're protecting yourself. It protects you from serious illness and hospitalization. That's what it does. Now I have to say, because YouTube makes me say this, because their science is better than the other science. They say that the vaccine does reduce transmission and contraction. That's what I have to tell you, or they'll take my channel down. So I have to provide that context. But I also have to tell you that Fauci says everyone's going to get COVID, most likely. So that tells you that the vaccines aren't going to prevent you. most likely, according to Fauci, from getting it. So that means that the mandates and making someone else get a vaccine to protect you is ridiculous. You get a vaccine to protect yourself. Okay, so that's why they never made sense in the first place. But people still, I still want there to be I walk into a fucking restaurant and they ask for my vaccine. By the way, I was vaccinated last April. Do you know my vaccine has waned, right? That's according, they all say it wanes at 6 months. Isn't that what they say, Steph? Isn't that what they're saying, Kurt? It wanes at 6 months?
I wonder how I never got any of it, because I just had the 2 shots, and then I can't tell you how many people I know had 3. They had like some up to 4 boosters and had COVID twice. That's a lot of people I know. Where I'm like, you boosted it to get more. I don't even understand how this works.
Yeah, I'm not getting the booster.
You're correct, Jimmy. The vaccines decline in effectiveness significantly after 6 months.
So I walk into a restaurant, I flash my Vaxx card. They're like, "Come on in." Yeah, according to the science, Anyway, so let's get back to this.
How people who are at higher risk, who are immunocompromised, feel. So nationally, that's about 14% of the population who are 15 and up. And of course,
so 14% of the population, according to this lady, this news person, is immunocompromised. So you know what those people, if I was immunocompromised and I was afraid of catching a virus, I would wear one of those N95 masks, because those actually do filter stuff out and they will protect you. They're super uncomfortable, but they actually work. They actually, I think they actually call them ventilators or something. They have respirators.
Yeah.
And so if you're immunocompromised, you should wear one of those N95 masks. That's what and you should go get your vaccine.
Right.
But you shouldn't ask the rest of the world to now upend their life to suit you when you can protect yourself. Okay.
This is a segment of the population that if they develop COVID, they're more at risk to have complications. So I talked to Sherry Peng. Now, she has 4 shots on board of the vaccine. That's boosters and the vaccine. She has Crohn's disease, and even that's not really enough, she fears, to keep her safe. She's worried that this passport being lifted is way too early. She's to love.
Again, there's no science behind the passport. They never mention that. This woman, some random woman, she thinks it's being lifted way too early. Why? Can you explain to me how that helps you? How does a vaccine passport mandate help you? They can never tell you. They'll go in a circle. They just go in circles.
This sounds like they're doing the Great Barrington Declaration thing of where it just targeted on who needs it.
So that's exactly right, Kurt. And now they're doing what the guys who came up with the Barrington Declaration thought of doing, or the people who came up with the Barrington Declaration, which was an opposing view to what Fauci and the establishment was pushing. They were pushing for everybody to be locked down, everybody to wear masks, and everybody to be vaccinated. The Great Barrington Declaration said we should target that to the people who are vulnerable. And we heard Bill Gates just say the other day, well, it turns out the only people who are really vulnerable are the elderly, the obese, and those with comorbidities. Everybody else is not that big of a deal.
What is the Koch brothers now?
Why didn't you say that 2 years ago? And anyway, so let's get back to this.
To go to concerts and hockey games. And she says she's really filled with anxiety when she sees hockey games in the States where the arenas are full. And
what?
Why? Why do you feel that way? Why? Do hockey arenas equate to huge outbreaks? Or do we still not know what causes huge outbreaks? Does it come in waves? Does it come in waves? Go ahead.
She's nervous because of a hockey game in the United States.
In the United States, it makes her nervous.
Really means to her that she is at greater risk if she goes out into the public going forward. Here's Sherry Peng.
People like myself that are, autoimmune diseases and on medications that suppress our immune system, we're going to have to continue to protect ourselves and to really just still mask up. I still won't be going out to restaurants and or concerts or hockey games. I'll be carrying on like I have for the last 2 years.
So she's not going to, her whole life is staying the same because she's immunocompromised, so she's not leaving her house.
My ex-girlfriend has the same thing, Crohn's disease, and immunocompromised because basically Crohn's disease, your body is attacking your intestines. Yeah. It's like an immune. So they suppress your immune system. And she didn't live like that at all. I know for a fact she didn't live like that. So there's some more, I'm guessing there's a little something extra psychological because 4 shots is like pretty intense. Although, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but like, I know a lot of people with Crohn's. Like Pete Davidson has Crohn's. I know he ain't living like that.
Let's listen. He ain't elderly either. She is elderly.
And so I also spoke with a woman named Kate Buziak. Now, she has an acquired brain injury. She lives in a congregate living facility. She's also at higher risk. But kind of on the other side of things, for her, this move forward is opening the world up a little bit. The programs that really made up the bulk of her social life are starting to open up again. And so she's actually really looking forward to that. Now, she is telling me she is going to be cautious going forward. She's still going to mask. The mask mandate's still in place, although Premier Ford has hinted that possibly we'll get some updates on that. Maybe we could see it go away by the end of March break even. So a lot of people who are immunocompromised telling me that even beyond that, they're going to continue to mask up just to make sure they have that extra layer of protection. But we have to remember that for a lot of people who've been really sequestered during this, there is some excitement too about finally being able to do things.
You think? So there it is in Ottawa. They're getting rid of the vaccine mandates and passports and all that. So that's good news. Hey, Aaron, Los Angeles, I went out to a restaurant last night. Nobody asked me for anything. They didn't ask me for my vaccine card. I didn't have to wear a mask. I sat down. Seating, when you're seated, you are safe. You're protected from the virus. Everybody knows that.
Also, the hatred of the unvaxxed has been successfully transplanted completely onto Russia now. So
yes.
That operation was a success.
That was 100% successful. Hate the unvaccinated operation. Whatever you do, don't put your ire on the oligarchs who are denying you health care. 200,000 people would still be alive today who died from COVID if we had Medicare for all. They'll never mention that. Fauci never brings it up. Biden never brings it up. The news never brings it up. I wonder why. Oh, it's because they all suck the cock of Big Pharma. Hey, we got more dates for our 2022 stand-up tour. We're going everywhere. We're going to Dallas, Houston, Florida. We're going to Omaha, Des Moines, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Ohio, and Los Angeles. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all the tickets for all our shows.